Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Kalicube Tuesdays. I'm Jason Barnard, the brand SERP guy from Kalicube, and I'm here with Tom Amitay. A quick hello, and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Tom Amitay.
Thank you very much, Jason. Very happy to be here.
I'm delighted to have you because we're going to be talking about authentic content is more than a buzzword. You're from Entail AI, so I assume you create content with AI, but authentic content is where it's still at, even though we can theoretically create as much content as we want with AI. Is that more or less the pitch?
We don't create content with AI. We do all the rest with AI, which means generating the content strategy, knowing what content to create, and using AI in editing content. It also has its issues there, okay? But we don't generate the content with AI because the way we see it, the seed of what you're creating, okay, and your unique value proposition is that you need to create content that creates value for your audience, okay? And if what you do is you take content from ChatGPT or Gemini, or it doesn't matter wherever, you take content from AI that just regurgitated from the entire internet, and it doesn't bring anything new, any new angle or anything like that, you're not really producing value. Or you're creating the same content that anyone else can create, and that's just part of what we call the hyperinflation of content that's happening today. So that's not going to help. I mean, I can speak about it quite in length. I can tell you one thing as an example, as an anecdote. We have an article about the Google status on Search Console. There's a status called crawl not indexed. It means that Google is not indexing your content. I mean, this article has went up in ranking and in terms of volume and impressions quite a lot over the past few weeks. More and more people are searching for that. And we wrote this article almost a year ago after we looked into ChatGPT and tried to predict what's going to happen because of that. And we said, okay, there's going to be a hyperinflation of content. Google already has tools to deal with content hyperinflation or content inflation. Crawl not indexed is one of them. You're welcome to read the article and know what this is all about. But basically now you see more and more people are searching for that, and you see more and more websites are affected because Google is not indexing their content because their content is very thin and it doesn't produce any new value.
Okay. Right, and that's a huge point. We're talking to Gennaro Cofano, who's a friend of mine who is terribly insightful about the future, and he's saying rather than crawling, indexing, and ranking, these machines are going to be looking at pre-training, understanding, and then creating answers from the content. And crawling and indexing is going to become increasingly less important. And this is perhaps just the start, which is a wonderful start to the episode, because AI is changing pretty much everything about the way we're looking at the way we do business online. But one thing that's coming back, and I love this, is more traditional marketing business efforts, which is what's my unique value proposition? Why am I special? How can I be authentic? And how can I ensure that the person doing business with my business is happy as a human being with me as a human being? Before we get into that, though, I wanted to show the brand SERPs. Here we have the Entail AI podcast, which has a knowledge panel. And the knowledge panel is the thing on the right-hand side when you search on Google. And the understanding that Google has of an entity, a podcast, a person, or a company, or even a product, is represented in the knowledge panel. If you have a knowledge panel, Google understands this thing and can therefore understand who the audience might be and what the offers might be, and can start to think about matching them. In a world of generative AI in search and assistive engines, that is the foundation of everything you're doing moving forwards. Now, unfortunately, your company doesn't have a knowledge panel. That means Google has no understanding about the company. And that's something that we at Kalicube now work on. We've been doing this for years and years and years, building knowledge panels, which is basically building understanding into Google's brain by educating it. And then you have the same problem. This is very common for companies and people. Google's just really starting out. It's been, 12 years now? But it's still trying to get to grips with the world, and the world is significantly bigger than we realize. And if anybody wants to learn more about building knowledge panels, getting the Kalicube process going, educating Google so that you're ready for the future, the generative AI future of search and assistive engines, subscribe to our newsletter. There's a QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner, and we will send you a newsletter every week that explains to you how to educate Google to take advantage of search and assistive engines in the AI world to drive your business forward. So back to the topic today.
Okay.
Tom.
Yes.
Tell me about authentic content. not coming from ChatGPT. I tend to think today, when I see something that's been generated by ChatGPT or another engine, I can spot it because it uses words like elevate. And it uses words that I would never use as a human. And I find it very difficult to focus on a text written by a machine. And I find my mind drifting off because it doesn't have the authentic aspect of it. Would that be a reasonable approach?
I mean, I look at it in a slightly different way, and I think we can find a very similar example or a very good example in music. Okay, so yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at this. So, I mean, AI is still relatively new. I mean, it's been used for a while, but ChatGPT was launched like in November 2022, so it's like 18 months or more or less from now. It's still rather new, and people are still focused on the technical aspects of it and how it's changing the market and so on. And they're still talking about whether you can spot AI content or not, etc., etc. But if you look at, and I gave this example several times. I mean, I have a very good friend. We used to be like, flatmates, back in the day. And both of us love Pink Floyd, and he's actually a musician. So he used to watch a lot of like old, like Pink Floyd videos and listen to music and all that. And they had this video when they spoke about them starting to create digital music. And they said that people told them, this is not music. You're using digital instruments. You're not just playing a guitar or, the drums or whatever. And they said, okay, let's see if you can create that type of music with digital instruments, And by now we all accept that, there's also there's different types of music. Like Infected Mushroom, I can't create music like they can create. I mean, doesn't matter if they play an instrument or if they do it digitally. It's still music that's very much loved by many different people, right? I think it's pretty much the same. The question isn't how you create the content. The question is, what is the content that you create? And do people like it? Does it provide value for them? And if you can create amazing content with AI, go for it if you can. But if what you do is you go to ChatGPT and you use a prompt to create some content, any person on the street can pretty much do it. If they just have a laptop or an internet connection, they can do it. So it doesn't give you any edge. So what does give you an edge? That's marketing. In marketing, you want to have an edge. You want to stand out. If you're doing what everybody else does, that's inflation. There's no value there, okay? So it's not really about whether you use AI or don't use AI. It's about what you create. And I think one of the best places to see like the best content that's being created today is TikTok. I mean, you can also see that, of course, on Facebook and YouTube and all the different other social platforms. But I think TikTok is pretty much at the front of that, and and it's super popular, and even the American Congress gets involved, right? It is frightening how good it is, and sorry, it really has to do with what you just said about how marketing is going back to its basics, because what AI does in a way, it democratizes marketing. It lets everyone, for example, create much better videos. There's free video editors that you can use now. You can use CapCut and you can create amazing videos. It's free. Okay, so Hollywood is completely. I mean, people at Hollywood are hysterical now because they're thinking it's going to replace them, and it is going to replace a lot of what's going on in Hollywood, right? So the thing is that right now, as an individual creator, you can create amazing videos, for example, or amazing articles as well, but videos are becoming more and more interesting. You can create amazing videos, edit them with AI, and do like amazing effects that until not very long ago, you could only do with a Hollywood type of budget, okay? So that's why I'm saying it. That's why I'm saying it democratizes marketing, because it lets individuals create amazing content. They don't need huge budgets. It's actually posing a much bigger challenge for companies to keep up with individual creators. Okay, and that's mostly with what's happening on social media and video, which is taking more and more of our attention. I mean, Google. Yeah.
So, sorry, just to come back, the beginning of the internet, back in the 90s, last century. One thing is that everyone was saying this is an opportunity for the small fish to come up against the big fish, but on equal terms. Is this another beginning of the internet where anybody can face up to a big corporation with the same quality of
definitely.
content. And then the difference is my personality, my uniqueness, my authenticity.
Definitely. I mean, first of all, the internet did do that. I mean, in the 90s, I don't know about you. I mean, but I know what year cable started becoming popular. I'm from Israel, so I know what year cable started becoming popular in Israel. But before that, we had one channel. Afterwards, just two channels. Then all of a sudden you had cable, and then the internet came out. And how many channels are you following now? Different platforms. You're consuming content from so many different channels today, whether YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, TV, Netflix, different channels on each one of these platforms. So it definitely opened up the world. And now what's happening with AI is it's doing it like times a million, because people are now able to create like very unique things using AI. So it's not like AI replaces us. It's like an extension, you can do much more. And you can now, you can film your podcast much more easily than you can do before. But there's other people. I mean, I saw this guy. There's three guys on TikTok. They're doing like dad jokes, silly dad jokes. They're pretty popular. They're like sitting in ambush in the forest, like they're hunting, and they're whispering dad jokes. And there's somebody else who took their soundtracks and turned it into on TikTok, where you can use other people's soundtracks and it gives them, the attribution and all that. And it turned that into an AI animation video with like people from like characters from outer space or aliens or something. It's super creative, and you hear those dead jokes. They're like, crack those jokes, not very funny, but when you see it in that context, it really works. And I say, this is an amazing way of creating content with AI. The reason I say that, because it's funny, it's engaging. I watched a bunch of them. I sent it to a few friends because I thought these videos were good. And I have no idea how they created them. I couldn't create them myself. Okay. Which is very different than all those like snake oil salesmen, on every platform now telling you use this prompt or that prompt to whatever, like make $1 million or whatever. And it has zero value. Okay.
So are we also back to the get rich quick thing of the 1990s when the internet came out, which is you can get really rich really quickly because the entire world is at your disposal. You can make a fortune. It's really easy. Build a website. Everybody will come. And now you can create as much content as you want. If you create vast amounts of content, you will necessarily hit a certain number of people who will be interested and make a fortune. Are we back to that?
I think we have enough information, and we've seen enough bubbles in our lifetimes to understand when we see a bubble. Okay, there's the .com, there's the crypto bubble, etc. I have a friend who invested in Bitcoin like way before it was even worth anything. Okay, and when the crypto bubble was there, like not even like this round, there's been like several rounds, and he said, like, he used to say, like, don't touch any other of the other crypto coins. They used to call them like shit coins. Only Bitcoin is they would say only Bitcoin is iron, like only Bitcoin is like solid, is a rock, And so within those bubbles, there's companies, businesses, whatever, that disappear because it was a bubble, because it really it was inflated, it had no value. But some of them stay. Some of them really do have value. So I think the hype is part of the bubble, is part of the excitement, the gold rush. Some people did make money during the gold rush, right? A lot of people lost their lives. And so it's just another type of bubble. People see this as a gold rush. Everybody wants to get their share, okay? But some of them are just doing things that really have no value. And some companies are creating amazing things with this.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that within this bubble, which is AI, which has just taken off, it's going to explode at some point. Lots of companies, lots of people are going to lose their livelihood, and the ones that are going to keep their livelihood are the ones who are authentic and provide value and something unique.
So there's many different aspects to what you can create with AI. In terms of what content you create, then yeah, for sure. I mean, you can see it today. I mean, you can see what type of content, if you're talking specifically about content creation, because there's many other things you can do with AI, but specifically about content creation, you can see it today. Look at what content is getting views, what content is getting, is attracting attention, okay, is performing well. And this is the type of content that works. And whereas if you see, I mean, the easiest way to see the inflation is when you look at people generating articles, because that's the most trivial way of using AI. Because it's so trivial, there's really no value in it, okay? And the number one company to fight that, it's because not because they care about values or it's because it will affect their bottom line. It's Google, because if Google indexes cheap content, like garbage content, people will start and rank that and show that in the search results. People will stop using Google because the results will have no value. So Google must provide value in their results. So they can't keep on showing bad content, and that's why so many people now are searching for crawl not indexed, because their content is not being indexed, but it's not good. Okay. One tip for businesses creating content, it also has to do with what you just showed in the beginning about the knowledge graph, etc. You want to show you're an authority, of course, and you want to do it through high quality content and authoritative, authentic content, not through some content generated with no purpose.
Right, and then authentic content. I mean, putting Google to one side for a moment, authentic content is even more important on social media. Getting engagement, actually giving across personality. Social media is all about who am I and why would you engage with me, whereas search is about can I find something, pull them in.
Yeah. The thing is that there's a very interesting overlap now between social media and search, and I think that's what Google. That poses a bigger threat to Google than ChatGPT. I mean, what's happening with TikTok? If you think about it, Google used to be about 8 or 10 times. They used to have 8 or 10 times the entire amount of traffic of all social media combined. Okay, and it doesn't mean that you stay longer on Google than you stay on Instagram or on YouTube, but you go through Google. The number of unique sessions that you have on Google per day is probably much larger than the number of unique sessions you have on YouTube. And whenever you go on Google, you tell Google what's your intent, what you're looking for, and it's much easier to sell something to a person looking for something and telling what you search for than a person just using just watching video. But what's changed now with short videos is that it's like popcorn. You never eat just one popcorn. Nobody does. Okay, so it's like short videos. You never watch just one of them. You watch many of them, and each video that you watch is another opportunity to understand what you care about, what you're interested in, and eventually sell you something. And that's something that really is changing marketing today, and that's a huge opportunity. So definitely, if you, and in that sense, yeah, I mean, authenticity is one aspect of it, but eventually there's many other ways of creating engagement, of attracting people's attention. Some people just do it by looking good. Other people do it by creating interesting stuff. And other people do it by creating things that are just super creative. Okay, there's many ways of doing that, and definitely you can use AI in doing it. But if you think that AI replaces the need for creativity or the need for understanding what's valuable, then it really doesn't. And there's a long way before it can do it. It can sometimes, for example, if you want to write a piece of code or a formula for a spreadsheet, AI can do that. Okay, AI can replace people and can do a better job than what people can in that, I think. But in other places where you want to share your expertise, it can't.
Right, yeah. So, excuse me. And moving on to video in particular, we've talked kind of a little bit about video, a lot about kind of written content. AI for creating video, you've mentioned it. Is this a place where we now all need to be creating video, whatever business we're in, and we can use AI to do it?
First of all, I think we should create video. I think we should move more and more to video because that's what people like. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm guessing, and I think I'm probably right, that most of the content you consume today is video. More and a larger and larger percentage of it is on social media rather than just TV or Netflix or I don't know any other platform that you use. So there's an increasing demand for video, all types of videos, by the way, not just short videos. It's all types of videos, including TV. And even older generation who is used to read more than the younger generation is consuming more and more video. So businesses definitely need to be there. And of course, if you're creating video today, you don't need like an entire production crew like before. Yeah, definitely you can use AI, even just by using a green screen and removing the background. Okay, you can do it now with AI and much better than you don't need any fancy tools like before. But you can use AI for producing some of the B-roll that you want to use, so first of all, I mean the editing software has more and more AI in it, and I think there's going to be a lot of tools that are going to simplify video editing and video creation coming out very soon.
Right. And once again, we're coming back to the idea of, with more and more content coming out in AI, whether it's in Google and Google is struggling to deal with it and remove it from the index, or on social media where we're going to be more and more overwhelmed with content that's created aimed at us with, I think, very little forethought. How do you stand out? How do you cut through the noise as a business?
It's not much different than before. I mean,
Ooh,
at
cool.
the end of, no, I mean, the principle, what's different is that there's much more competition. And also, you're not competing with other businesses. When it comes to paid marketing, you're competing with other businesses. Individuals don't advertise. But now you're fighting over attention, over organic channels. And in those organic channels, the king is the individual. Okay, it's not businesses anymore. It's not just going on TV. You can't go as an individual on TV. You need to be an exceptional person to go there. On social media, you can just go now. You understand? And so, and the competition now is on social media. So businesses need to create content like individuals. That's what they need to do, because as an individual, that's why you're doing a podcast. I think you want to bring in individual perspectives, individual people, and businesses need to put on the executives, their expertise, the interesting part of the business at the front. Okay, and they need to be able to communicate with their audience just like individuals communicate. Again, it's democratizing marketing. It's a beautiful thing that's happening in a way.
So somewhere along the line, what you would perhaps suggest is that as a business, the CEO or the business owner or the founder needs to be increasingly the face of the business, because people do business with people. Are you suggesting personal branding becomes more important?
Absolutely. I mean, I never thought I would go on camera and speak like that, but that's my understanding. That's why I'm doing it.
Right. So, I mean, which is great news for Kalicube. Is exactly what we do. Is we build up personal brands. We grow personal brands for CEOs and founders of companies, on the understanding that they are the face of the company and that people are looking to do business with people. And you've just absolutely given me the cherry on the top of the cake, which is, if you want to compete on social media as a company, you actually need to put a face to it.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that face can be the founder, the CEO, which is absolutely wonderful. Then from where I'm sitting now, is B2B going to be difficult for that? Because B2B, standing up and being the face of a B2B company might be more difficult. Making videos for B2B is more difficult.
B2B marketing is more difficult. B2B marketing is, I hope I'm not offending anyone, but B2B marketing, I think, is always 20 years behind B2C marketing.
Ooh.
Pretty much, because B2C marketing is where the volume is. In terms of marketing, I mean, you can also do it in B2B, but really the volume is in B2C marketing. And for example, in B2B, they say PLG, like product-led growth. Okay, they have a fancy term for it. Every B2C company has, I mean, every app that's on the App Store, every B2C website that's not just an e-commerce store needs to do it. You can't have a B2C company without that. And then B2B, they give it a fancy name and they work on it. All the B2C companies are doing that. Okay, they've been doing this since the 90s. It's not new. They don't even need a term for it. It's like air, it's like, it's what they do. Okay. And I think B2C companies have been on, I mean, they're always first on different platforms, like including TikTok now, and which is like the kind of like the newest platform. There's also Threads, but it's less interesting. But B2B companies also understand, our audience is on TikTok. We can also create content for TikTok. So they're also understanding that. But B2C is already there. B2C is already creating content. I mean, if you're a fashion brand, you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're creating content with individuals. It's not necessarily about having the CEO of a fashion brand, like pose with the clothes or whatever. But you do want to be there on social media, and also B2B, they definitely need to be there.
Right. Oh, I love that, because it's actually back to the 90s. The more things change, the more they stay the same. They just change fundamentally with AI, but actually they've just gone back to the 90s, which is a really lovely way to close the show. Thank you so much, Tom. That was absolutely brilliant and super, super interesting. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. But before you leave, number one is subscribe to the newsletter, where we'll teach you to educate Google so that you can get to the top in generative AI in search and assistive engines? And the last question, as always, how does authentic content help with branded search? You have 1 minute, Tom.
So, I mean, I think authentic content is what businesses need to create. And it does help because at the end of the day, as a business, you need to brand your business as an expert on the topic. That's textbook content marketing, okay? And if you position your business as an expert, then eventually people would want to do business with you, okay? And this will also increase branded searches, especially if you do authentic human-first content on social media, okay? Because when you're on social media and you see a video that you like, or a product that you may be interested in, usually what you'll do is you'll go out of social media, go to Google, and you'll Google that brand or that product that you're looking for. So that's the number one way of creating branded searches, in my opinion.
Absolutely brilliant. And it absolutely supports what we're trying to do, which is create this content, great content for social media, get people to engage, repurpose it, bring it onto your website, or get the social media content to rank on Google, and you're already present on Google. Making content that resonates with your audience and packaging it for Google and other AI engines is the solution to the future. How lovely. Thank you so much, Tom. Now, everybody, we're introducing next week, which is going to be Mitch Duckler, talking about best practices for activating brand purpose. That's going to be super interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. Could you possibly pass the baton, Tom?
Sure. I mean, looking forward to also seeing your podcast with Mitch.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And you get the outro song, Tom. A quick goodbye to end the show. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Kalicube. It's all about your brand SERP.